Hey everyone, this is the Q&A with Chris Newberry. He's the owner of the beautiful, sprawling 405 conscious island community down in Panama. Chris had an issue not being able to ask for what he wanted and needed, which was a huge blockage in his journey in creating this amazing place. So check out these beautiful pictures of what this magnificent healing resort looks like, and then join me as we go deep into the subconscious mind and how to unlock the keys to your dreams. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. So glad to have you here. If you could type in the chat box where you're calling in from. Hi, Morgan. Just saw you. Oh my God, did we have an adventure in Mexico or what? I love all these groups connecting all over the place. And Chris, I just hear you're friends with Lisa McCord as well, too. I didn't know that. That's super cool. Hi, Brenna. We have the man himself, Chris Newberry, the owner of Conscious Island Community. And hey, B, I'm so happy to see you. Oh my God, I've thought about you so many times. Christy, welcome. David Johnson, welcome. Susan, welcome. Farrell, welcome. If everybody could just type in the chat box where they're from, so we can connect everybody, all the dots on this amazing planet that we have. So I met Chris at a Joe Dispenza event. We're all sort of addicts. I'm in Nashville. Chris is, of course, in Panama. Chris, are you in one of those great rooms that you can flip the camera around and show us the sea? Is that
I can. Hello, everybody. And thank you, Tara, very much for setting this up and inviting all of us. So yeah, I'm actually on location. I live here on at the Conscious Island community where we're planning to build it. And it's my house. It's over the water. You can see got my floor, got a floor window there, and it's kind of bright outside, so you can't really see the ocean. But that's we're over the water, kind of like that overwater bungalow, but the whole.
Yeah, and before we're done, we'll have Chris show us some of the amazing pictures. He's got a 10-year plan there. So he basically listened to the needs of the Conscious Island community and his own internal dreams. Have you been to 15 events, Chris?
15, correct.
That's amazing.
Approximately, maybe one or two more or less, but.
So people who are into this work, love working with other people and living around people that are into this work because it's inspiring, it's uplifting. So Chris, can you briefly tell us your story? You are now different people that I work with. Chris has done my process. He had a block that he wanted gone. And when you're a high performer, when you've got a block in your way, that is extremely costly. That can cost you everything. Chris is a dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneur. And some of us are, we're artists or musicians or doctors or whatever. It doesn't matter what your expertise is. If you can remove that blockage that's getting in your way, it just allows you to go to new levels. So Chris, tell us what inspired you to create this amazing community. I mean, 400 acres, your own island in one of the most beautiful areas in Panama. Give us the background on that.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'm going to kind of make it brief. My spiritual journey started when I was young. There were some different things that happened that opened my awareness, maybe to kind of led me to the conclusion there was more than just what we could see, feel, touch, and with our senses. There was more to the story, and it was. Something happened in high school. Then when I was an adult, I was climbing a mountain. I had this spiritual experience, or mystical experience. I think that was what Joe Dispenza would call it. I didn't know what it was. I knew that it happened. I didn't know what it was. But just different things along the way that were kind of cracking that door open, you could say. And about 3 years ago, I went to my first event with Joe. I was actually going to Tony Robbins events. I really enjoyed them, and I met a gentleman there, and he's like, Joe Dispenza does events, and I couldn't believe it. I was blown away. I knew Joe Dispenza was because I'd watched What the Bleep Do We Know, which was another one of those things kind of in my path that actually, what the bleep to know was kind of what you might say a validation or confirmation what of the things that had happened to me prior in life. But anyways, I went to the event and things just really changed. They changed for me. I was at the time living here in Panama in this home. I had built the home. My idea was to build a boutique overwater bungalow resort here. I wasn't thinking spiritual. I was just, it was a resort. At the event that I went to, Joe, I made a group of friends, and they were like, I showed them pictures, what of the location, and they're like, "Wow, this place is amazing, Chris. You should create a place that's like for like-minded people like us who could go there. We can do meditations, do work, and be connected to other people who are aligned in the work." And I at first I thought it wasn't feasible. I thought, yeah, it's a wonderful dream. I love it, but it's just a dream. I got back from the event. Things dramatically started to change. Um, the Interestingly enough, Tara had mentioned that we have 405 acres on this beautiful, is amazing amazing peninsula. At the time, I only had about 28. I think it was about 28 acres. And when I came back from that event, the property owners around me started offering me their properties for sale. And I was, okay, this is a little interesting. Joe talked about, anyways, I thought this is really, I'm going to see what's going on here. Another event was coming up. It was in an AFU. So I went to that event. I decided, you know what? I'm going to go to the event. I'm going to talk as if my idea is to create a conscious community. And I'm going to see if it will help people take it. And I was surprised. By the end of the event, people were tracking me down. I could see there was that it was more than feasible. That people really loved the idea, of coming together in a beautiful location and being able to connect with each other in the work. Create have a system. I don't know if I like the word system, but really like a structure or support system. You could say in that 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 really that helps us, that en- encourages helps, that is there to m- accelerate us moving to our highest and best self. And by the way, I don't think there is really such thing as a high and best self. I think we're ever evolving, but life is really more fun and interesting when that evolution is happening at a good pace. Like when we're kind of stuck, you know, it's not as fun. And so, but anyways, really, um, I guess I don't know. Did I answer your question? Sure. Maybe I answered more than your question.
Hey guys, studies are showing that 68% of people that watch podcasts regularly don't click the subscribe button. Do me a huge favor. If you like this content, click subscribe so other people know where to go for the cool stuff. Thank you.
People obviously wanted to live in a like-minded environment that was beautiful, that supported their goals, their dreams. So tell them when you and I got together, you had something that you wanted to resolve. You don't need to go into all the details of it, but what was it like to just kind of go into your subconscious mind and resolve those things? Look, I'm talking about the station.
Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. So Tara, she does this. She has this. I don't know. Would you call it therapy? What?
For transformational therapy. Yeah.
Okay. So it's amazing. And so basically, if you have like blocks in your subconscious mind that you've identified, but you're struggling overcoming, she's awesome. So I'll tell you my experience, what happened. So I had a, manifested this amazing property, and it's a big property. And it's a big vision, and it needed, it needs a lot of other souls to be part of it, to come in. There's, and I struggled with communicating the needs that I had to people. I struggled asking people for money. It's like I struggled asking people for help to come in and be part of. And it was just stupid stuff. It was like, oh, if I'm asking for money, then I'm not being really spiritual. And it's a bunch of baloney. But anyways, it was a block and it was affecting me. And so, uh, so, uh, Dr. Tara, I don't remember if I already knew that was, yeah, I did. I did already know what the block was. I was actually when we talked. And anyways, so we had a discussion prior, and then she took me through this process, which was, I'm just going to call it like a rewiring or a reprogramming. There's probably a better word for it. A reprogramming, and it was targeted. It was targeted to that, which is what I needed, and it was great. I now it's like I can't wait to get with people and tell them, what I need, what the project needs, and I mean, if I and people love that too, because it's like they can see very quickly what it is what are the needs, and if they have something to contribute or whatever, and then it's much easier to make that thing. So there's more to it, but that's the gist, I guess you could say. But and thank you again,
No, we're so happy to have you here because people are so intrigued by somebody. The way you opened up your dream center to actually accomplishing this task, and then the property becoming available, and you having the acuity and the courage to go ahead and jump on that. Do you have a couple of pictures you can share with us of your amazing property there?
Let me see if I can get these them up here.
And then we are going to, in a few minutes, open it up to Q&A. So if you have some juicy questions for Chris, maybe type them in the chat box. I'm not sure we're going to have him for the full hour because he's got teams of people waiting for him. It is an enormous task to have a 10-year vision for a 400-acre property in a foreign country. He's made friends with the indigenous people there, so they love what he's doing and support what he's doing. He's got the support of the government there. He's created a nature center. Do you want to talk about some of the components that you've created there, Chris?
Yeah. So, okay. First, I'll tell you about the property, the way it is. It's a magical property. It's a peninsula on this beautiful island. People ask me sometimes, what's Bocas del Toro like, which is the island chain that we're part of. And my description, or how I explain it, is it's almost like a combination of Bora Bora, the Galapagos Islands, and the Amazon jungle. Why? Because we have the beautiful waters. We're in the Caribbean. We have the Central American rainforest, which is beautiful, lush, giant trees, just amazing. And we have the amount of animals and life here. Like we have sloths and monkeys and toucans and parrots and dolphins swim by the house, and underneath my house is full of fish. It's not even my house. My house is a place for thousands of marine animals and fish and creatures. And so it's magical along, that way. We have these freshwater lakes. They have freshwater turtles, we have these amazing cliffs that come down into the ocean. We have a rainforest beach, actually a couple. We have a fully natural marina site. It's deep water. It's fully protected. So there's no jetty needed, no pump. What are you calling it? Pump out. Anyways, it's beautiful. I have a community of indigenous that live very close. I'm very close to them. The shaman's one of my best friends. The elders, I know all of the elders, close with them. They support what we're doing. They love what we're doing, and when we, like, the idea of the project, like what we're doing, like there's many components. It's kind of multi-dimensional in a way, where it's a place for people to come heal, people to come connect, people to come become more and more the best version of themselves. Through being together with other people that are like-minded. Like when we go to one of Joe's events, it's like, what happens? We're in there, we're in a room with a bunch of other people who are, that are, have this, they got the same thing in their mind. They want to be heart centered. They want to vibrate a higher, higher levels of vibration. They want to be, they want to grow. They want to heal. They want to change, and Joe, as brilliant as he is, he sets up the conditions to create that, to where we change. He doesn't change us. He creates the conditions. He creates the space. He puts the right people around us in the staff who are, that are heart centered and there to support us in that journey. Many of the people are in the event have already been in the event, and they're able to get back to that place quickly and bring the new people along with them. So it's like the same thing here. We create a community of people with that same heart-centered way of looking at life, of wanting to be, and where your neighbors, not just your neighbor, it's somebody that you love, and they love you, and like you have this deep connection, and you do these amazing things like the walking meditations, the healing, doing healing on each other, with each remotely, here, physically, I guess, and then many other fun activities that also support, that lifestyle, that even go over and beyond, like in the events, like, the food. Like I buy most of my food right here on my front deck, because the indigenous, they come up. Yesterday they came up. They had like, ¿cuánto langostas eran ayer? Como 16 lobsters, and a bunch of fish. And they're live. They catch them and they come back in the canoe, and and we know them, and we're friends, and we chat, and today we have a bunch of people coming over here, and we're having this big seafood, you know, lunch. And but but anyways, the foods they're organic. I mean, they're either caught, foraged, or grown here on the island. Most of the foods that we eat, they bring over fruits and vegetables, and we trade with them. And it's just wonderful. I mean, they live mostly off the land and the ocean. They have some struggles, which when I have some more time, I can talk more in depth about that. They have some struggles because their resources are running low for them because of the way they live. And so what we're doing is in different ways is we're creating a opportunity for them to be able to continue to live the way they like to live, which is it's well, I'll tell you the way they don't like to live, and that's like in the United States. What we did was with the indigenous communities, we tried to change them and make them us. They didn't want to be. They wanted to live the way they lived. And the same thing here. They want to live here on the island. They don't want to send their kids off to the city to work. They want, so we're working. The name of the resort is the conscious community is Tai Nuare, which means beautiful life in their indigenous dialect. And so it's very inclusive with them, like everything from there'll be obviously employment opportunities, but also, there'll be, tours. They have their villages, go and see the way they live and connect with them, and, cultural exchange. And, we consider them our sister community, and they see that with us, with me, because I'm really the one right now that has the relationship with them. And so, so another one of the resources you could say is we'll have an event center, and the idea is to be having ongoing events, because events where we have people that come. Hopefully, I'm sure Joe will come once we have it here, and other brilliant minds with who have great information to share and to contribute to what it is that we're creating here as a community. And then also a wellness center, that it has the spa stuff that are great, the massages and all that are wonderful, but also like energetic healing, the type of stuff that Tara does, and then as well. And then also like the longevity technologies now that are coming out, you know, all those things. I mean, they support that higher way of living, or more elevated, more healthy, more, you know, um, just a new reality, a new way. Actually, what we another way, when people ask me, well, what kind of Ari? What is that? I'm like, it's an island, it's a dream, and it's a new reality, you know, and it's a new way. It'll be an example. I see a new way of it, that people can come in and live in harmony with nature, with their indigenous brothers and sisters. And
So if anybody has any questions for Chris, feel free to either type them in the chat box or go ahead and raise your hand. Chris, so thank you so much for, encapsulating your story in such a short amount of time. Do you want to maybe share some of the tools because we all run up against blockages when we're trying to accomplish something? I know we work together to remove a lot of the blocks. What do you feel like the biggest tips and tricks that you can give people? I know you mentioned Dr. Joe's work. But in your personal journey, when you ran up against blockages and in getting this 10-year plan solidified. Oh, and please share your website so people can go ahead and find you there.
okay, I'll type it in here, and there's a few things that aren't
There we go.
on it, so it's beta. So
Okay.
So it's tainuare.com. I just typed it in there.
Beautiful. Thank you. And there's lots of great pictures on there. You can see the plans that are going to unroll in the next 10 years. I mean, it's just an absolutely monumental undertaking. So does anybody have any questions for Chris? You want to hear more? Yeah. Okay. Mark, Mark's famous for his questions. Let's see. Do I unmute you? No, you're unmuted. Go ahead,
Oh, okay. I used to think questions are answers to life, but now I've learned that the answers are actually the questions to life. So, hi, Chris.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
How are you? Good. I've been out of the loop for a little bit, but and if I missed this in the very beginning, I apologize. But timing wise, how close are you to actually breaking ground and making the? I see Leland just commented that he's moving down there. I don't know what that means, but Leland is always shape shifting in some way. So curious how that's gonna look. But yeah, so if that's happening, and then you're actually set up to take money and deposits, and where exactly, if somebody said, yeah, I'd love to do this, what would they need to do to take the first steps?
So I a couple months ago, I would have given you a different answer. So we just had a change of government, and we're in the middle of our master plan zoning, and we were like 50% through that process when the government changed, and the new government that came in changed the system. Before it was all of that that approval, which is a big one, that main approval was given in Panama City, and they have now shifted that out to the local municipalities, which you would think would be easier and better because it's right here and we know them. But the problem is they don't know what to do. Yeah, so we're kind of in a little bit of a holding pattern until I get that resolved. So
what's the timeline do you think it'll take to get that resolved?
I just found out literally about 3 days ago that it for sure it's being transferred, because at first when the new government came in and I met the new director in Panama City, and I said, hey, look, we're already here working with you. Can you please just finish? Can we finish here? And he said, no, there is like a loophole in the law. We may be able to do that. And then he looked through, and so while I was there, he looking through the law, he says, okay, it looks like is if your local planning department doesn't have it was two things, a commission, and I honestly, I don't remember what the other thing was. He said, if they don't have those, then we may be able to continue the process here. Well, so we submitted them a letter basically saying, please, clarify this in writing, and then, but it took them like a month to respond to us. I just got the letter literally last week. And the letter said, it is going to be here. So they're not going to finish the process there. I I don't know. I'm hoping in the next month or two. But I just this week we're going to go meet with the planning guys here. But I already know that they don't know. When we talked to them before, they're like, we have no idea. They have no manuals. They have no,
So for Mark and the other people on the call that, are very interested in going down there, because first of all, you can go down and visit, right, Chris? You love having visitors there, right?
yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It's just right now we have a little hiccup in the timeline. That's really all.
But he has a 10-year
Right.
he has a 10-year plan, and a lot of people, have jumped on board. And once he gets this thing resolved, he does have a beautiful slide deck that explains the area, the plots of land, the type of structures that are going up on these different areas, the healing center, the nature reserve that the government's involved with, and all the different parts, and it's gorgeous.
So there.
All right. Well, good luck with that approval.
Thank you. We'll get it done. It's just,
All right.
it's just kind of, we're kind of back to square one on that one a little bit. And the most of the work is done. It's really, we might have to, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Well, this is the work of an entrepreneur. It's rarely a straight line from where you are to where you want to go. Would you not agree, Chris?
Yeah.
In fact, in my entire healing career, I've always said it's usually not a straight line from where you want to where you are to where you want to go. And that's where, talk about the mental fortitude, the mental creativity, the ability to go out now to be able to freely ask for your needs to be met. That's huge in that process. But talk about the mental dexterity that's required in this. And then I know you have to go in a few minutes. And then we'll dive into more going into the subconscious mind, the work that I do with a lot of the new people that we have here that might have questions about that.
I'm sorry, Terry, could you define that a little differently?
It takes a lot of mental dexterity and a lot of mental flexibility, a lot of will, a lot of, again, I'm sure that when you embarked on this, you did not predict it was going to be this way. And that's the case with taking on any endeavor, whether it's writing a book, whether it's starting a practice, whether it's, changing careers. It usually isn't the way you think it's going to be. And so that's where the Dr. Joe material comes in so handy, and where, going into your subconscious mind and removing blocks that you have is so handy, because then the pathway does tend to make itself known to you.
Yes. So, okay. So this, like, if I was going to, talk about that, I love 5D. I love to learn the rules and learn how to operate there. I live in 3D for the most part. And so, like, if you skip that, I just, sometimes people kind of want to go so sustain, try to, meditate their way to success or whatever, or to getting things done. And it's like, what I've realized is that the people who are the best at manifesting 3D are the ones that really get good at manifesting in 5D. So it's kind of a combo thing. It's like we're here, and if we can be here and be working with that at the same time, maybe have foot in both worlds, that's when things really work the best for me anyways. So, and another thing, it's like that this is really new. It's like, I feel like the world right now, it's like it needs us men to really step up and be warriors, warriors for good, and I think that there's been a loss of that. I've just recognized that. A friend actually who's here, it became so clear, and I just so encourage us guys to get back there and back in there and pick up that sword again and with that heart, with that heart open, and let's make those changes that need to be changed in the
I
world.
love it. Thank you. That's a beautiful description of navigating between 3D and 5D, because a lot of us have those questions like, well, being off in 5D, how does that change 3D? But you're learning to toggle between the two of them, and that's Gorgeous. Does anybody have any other questions for Chris? Like I say, I don't know if we're going to have him here for the entire hour because he has to take care of a group of people that he has unexpectedly there. Does anybody, any thoughts, any questions, any questions for Chris? Leland, do you want to jump on your, oh, there's B, I see B. B, let B say a word. She's calling in from London. Let's see. Oh, are you unmuted? Yeah, no. I think you need to unmute yourself. Bottom right-hand corner, there's an audio. Yeah, there you are. Hi, B.
Hello. Oh, hi, Chris. I haven't got a question, but I just want to say I just so admire what you're doing. It's absolutely fantastic. I shall look your website up afterwards and find out more about it. But I'm blown away that you could be doing something like this. It's so far outside my knowledge base or anything I've ever been to. And I just really, really hope and pray it all works out. It's successful. The government all get on your side and things start smoothing out again soon. Yeah, congratulations. Wonderful thing to be doing.
Thank you, B. Thank you.
So nice to hear from you.
Mm-hmm.
This is Lauren Wells and welcome. Hi, thank you.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Chris. I just want to say something quickly that this has to work out. Timing and how is not up to anyone, but the energy there is just, it's the most magical energy that I've ever experienced. And that energy is going to make sure that that place is done right. And just my hat goes off to you, Chris, for just staying the course and learning at every obstacle, just, buckling down and doing your work and recognizing the opportunities and being patient and just showing your growth. Like, this is how you do it. And so can't wait one day, hopefully in your near future.
Look, so everybody, look, Lauren's been here. We had the privilege and the honor to have her here, stay with us, and it was so wonderful. I was talking earlier about the shaman, and here he's a medicinal plant shaman. His recipe, a recipe. That's not the what do you call it? A prescription. You get the prescription. He doesn't go back in the pharmacy and look for the pills. He goes back into the rainforest and comes back with his different plants and he does. Anyways, so we were walking through the rainforest and Lauren and Saavedra is his name. They were walking behind and Saavedra was telling Lauren about these different plants and how he used them and what they were, how he helped people with them and I kept looking back and she was filming him talk and I was like, I just hit me. It's like, wow, you know what? This has never been documented. This is this is stuff that's been passed through generations. There's nowhere it's documented. So Lauren and I came up with an idea and she filmed Saavedra and she talking about these plants. It's actually on the website. You'll see them. And those are mostly videos that Lauren took and she translated them because Lauren also speaks Spanish. Because he's the shaman speaking in Spanish, and yeah, that really beautiful project was an inspiration of Lauren and I together, and Saavedra, of course, the shaman.
I love that. I love that. In fact, you have on the call here Morgan and Hyla, and we just got back from an amazing healing experience in Mexico. And there are a lot of wonderful healing modalities that just are not mainstream. I often quote David Perlmutter, who is a famous MD who travels all over the world and has written numerous bestsellers. And he says it takes 18 years for good information to get into mainstream medicine, which is pretty tragic for a lot of people who are suffering. So a lot of people are looking to other ways to solve their problems. And I love the spirit that you've got going on down there, Chris, and I am excited to come down and visit. I know Leland's going to be down there too, and I'm super excited to connect with him. Any other questions for Chris? We're going to dive into the subconscious mind next. So those of
Come
you,
soon, Tara. Come soon. And David, he's part of the project. David, he's a beautiful soul. How are you doing? He said he wants to. We'll be here waiting for you in February. So, and looking forward.
Yeah, can't wait. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for enduring all this stuff. It's going to be worth it. Thank
yeah,
you for
it's
being there.
never easy being an entrepreneur, and it takes people. I mean, Chris, because I've worked with him and he's shared his background with me and his accomplishments. He's a rare bird, and so it's just an honor and a delight to support him. Because it takes a real courageous and insightful skill set to be able to pull off something like this.
Thank you, Tara.
Any other questions for Chris? So the conscious mind, as you know, can only process about 40 bits of information per second. The subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. So when you remove blocks in your subconscious mind and you free up that energy, that clarity, it's really remarkable what can be accomplished. So I'm certainly delighted to be working with somebody like Chris and seeing what he's putting together down there.
So, thank you so much, Tara. I
I know
actually
you have to run, but totally fine. On in a
group. So thank you so much for putting this on. Thank you everybody for sharing this time with us, and look forward to hopefully meeting each and every one of you, hopefully here. So.
And Chris, I'm going to connect with you later so I can get a little more catch up with you guys, because there's a lot that's been going on, and that I recently took to Mexico. It was mind blowing. So for everybody else on the call who want to know more about how your subconscious mind works, again, your subconscious mind is processing 40 million bits of information per second. It does not speak in the language that the 5 to 10% of your conscious mind speaks. So people have come to me that, had been attacked by a Rottweiler and had to go through 6 jaw surgeries, developed choking disorders. And in just the first 2 sessions, they're not having those problems anymore. I've had other people that went through shocking experiences. One saw her husband catch on fire. He's fine, but it ignited mold, babesia, mast cell inflammation, all very, very tricky things to solve. And in her first session, she was able to experience more peace than she had experienced in her entire lifetime. And after 3 sessions, she didn't have to do the acupuncture twice a week, the neurofeedback, the biofeedback. People typically report back to me that their sleep improves dramatically, because that part of your brain that's, actually I can share some of this information on my slide deck here. Sometimes pictures speak louder than words. So I actually started podcasting because I really wanted to share with people the results that people were getting so quickly. It was kind of blowing my mind that people that went through all the military stuff and were struggling with PTSD and got 100 on their PTSD scores and went through all the military stuff, but hadn't, broken through from the panic attacks they were having, weren't still able to focus. And in 2 sessions, they're going, you can't believe it's this easy. So people who hadn't slept well for 7 years, they say, I don't know how you did this. You didn't even mention sleep. I didn't have to. All I had to do was remove the emotions that were preventing them from sleeping in the first place. People love the image of the iceberg. Your conscious mind is literally only 5 to 10% of your brain. So if you're trying to solve a problem that's been with you usually your whole life, it's usually feelings of anger or fear is a big one. Anxiety is probably the biggest one. I usually find that people are in some form of just consistent anxious exhaustion. They're rubbing up against some emotion that is very familiar to them. And I usually have them describe, where in your body is it, what triggers it, what makes it go away. If we wave the magic wand and those emotions could go away and be replaced by emotions that you give anything to feel consistently, what would those be? I've had people that had 16 years of therapy and daily panic attacks and felt deep trauma to their whole being, and now their soul just feels like it should, because they're removing that garbage, that 150-pound backpack that they've been carrying around. Business people love it, like Chris, because it helps them remove whatever is distracting them from the task at hand. In Chris's case, he didn't feel comfortable asking for help, whether it was money or having people participate in a certain way. And once that was out of the way, he was able to turn to the task at hand. So people are able to remove the procrastination and move into better focus and action, which translates to a lot of money really quickly for a lot of people. For for example, I worked with this gal, Katrine. She's an advanced Dr. Joe person. She said, look, I just don't feel comfortable asking for money for art. I don't have any problem. Where's Katrine? She says, I don't have any problem. As a lawyer, when I was practicing, I could ask for money easily. But as a gallerist in Switzerland, I just can't ask money for art. She said, can you help me? I said, yes, let's go find the source of the problem. It was completely not something that she expected. And now she sells art for $20,000 and $30,000 a piece and has a great time. This is a local real estate guy that just was able to have better success with less effort. This is another successful local businessman who just had never experienced self-love. If you have a track that's running in your subconscious brain that you're not worthy, that you're not enough, that that relief is available to other people, but not to you, it's just exhausting. So once people are able to free themselves of that, they just have resources. I honestly, I feel sometimes like I get to let people out of prison for a living. This is Nan. She's in our group. She had a lifelong sugar addiction. I even used it on my mother when she was walking down the street at age 89. She hit a bike rack and smashed her kneecap into 13 pieces. I told her right after the surgery, Mom, you're going to be the fastest healing case on record. And I made her one audio to speed heal her patella. I made her a second audio to convince the muscles they were working out, even though they were immobilized. There's very good science that shows that if the muscles think they're working out, they will receive the benefit of that. So the mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. The reason affirmations don't work is because if there's a belief stuck in the subconscious mind that has been swimming around there that you're different, you don't deserve it, you're unworthy, the relief is not available to you, it's going to devour all the positive emotions that you're trying to plant in there. So most people also, when they're stressed and have stress that's been built into their nervous system, they're living in some form of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. There's actually 4 Fs. Most people aren't aware of all of them, but freezing is, the people that want to dry up and blow away and be invisible. Fawning is the people pleasers. So a lot of my people are able to develop the beautiful boundaries that come from removing those blockages from the past and treasuring themselves, because like they say in the airline business, you want to put that oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on other people so that you don't get depleted and exhausted. Does anybody have any questions for me? I mean, these are all on my YouTube channel. They're all on my Google and Yelp. Has all these testimonials on there. It gives people a good idea of what it's like. These are another businessman who is an advanced Dr. Joe guy who was able to unlock his full potential by doing this. So if anybody has any questions, I'm going to stop the share here. Got lots of slides, but I don't want to take all the time going over that when we have a few minutes left for Q&A.
Would you share some of the techniques you use to unblock these people subconsciously?
Perfect. Great question. So when Morgan first met me, I was doing acupuncture and nutritional medicine. And when I found out how powerful the subconscious mind is, I've devoted 100% of my time to this because people are able to have massive changes quickly. Again, it's that 40 bits of information versus that 40 million bits of information. So there's 4 brainwave states. I'm sure most people on the call are familiar with them: alpha, beta, delta, theta. 2 of them are waking, 2 of them are sleep. We're in beta right now, so we're able to multitask. We're able to get a lot of things done in 3D, which is really important. But when that firing and wiring of old patterns that don't serve us, that I'm unworthy, I'm overwhelmed, I'm not good enough, gets stuck in there, usually between the ages of 2 and 10, they keep firing and wiring because the brain prefers a familiar hell to an unfamiliar heaven. So this process is making heaven familiar and hell unfamiliar. So you're literally disrupting those old neural patterns that have fired and wired, again, usually from the ages of 2 and 10. And because they're subconscious, they're below the level of consciousness. So when you get into a relaxed state, again, Dr. Joe's doing this work. He's doing it differently because he's doing it for everybody. everybody. Mine is targeted for the individual person. And I love the way they work together. They work really, really beautifully. Leland's work, Leland dropped off the call, unfortunately, but he's got a great program for breath work. And that also works really, really well. Anything that you do to upgrade your life in general is going to be a wonderful combination. But when you get into that relaxed state, then you can talk to the subconscious mind. It will give you answers in the form of memories, in the form of feelings, in the form of, how is your body feeling? And then a pattern will become clear. And then you just connect the dots. I make people, after they've done a 2-hour session with me, a short recording, it usually takes about 10 minutes, to fire and wire the pathway to that heaven that they've been wanting, so that old one can dry up and blow away. If you stop feeding that old one, it will eventually just prune away. And there's great video now that actually show new neural pathways occurring in the body. You can literally see the neuroplasticity, these portions of the brain branching out and becoming stronger when a new thought is put in. It's like learning a language. It's like going to the gym when your muscles are weak. I'm not asking anybody to go to the gym on a daily basis, but there is a little bit of homework, like listening to that audio each night as you drift off to sleep. And I give people a high performance planner so they can track their progress, because it's really important for your conscious mind to see, oh, this is working for me. So it will continue to do that new pattern. And I do work with people over 90 days. I work with people who have an 8, 9, or a 10 need to change and an 8, 9, or 10 commitment to change, because the brain, when it's stressed out, it wants to go back to the old pattern. I know it sounds bizarre and ridiculous, but our brain likes to conserve energy and it likes to be safe. And it thinks that what's familiar is safe, even if what's familiar is horrible.
Yeah, I was just wondering how, what's the process to work with you? How do you go about doing something?
Oh, let me put my website in the chat box. You can go to consulttara.com and click the Let's Talk button. There's some clarity questions that come up, so you can get clear about what's been bothering you, how long it's been bothering you, what it's costing you mentally, emotionally, physically. And then there's a button that you can click, a 30-minute consult, to see if you're a good fit for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Where are you calling in from, David?
I'm in New Jersey.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And I love your podcast, by the way.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I have so much fun doing it, and I'm thrilled and delighted at the people that have been on. Leland's been on twice. In fact, we might do another one together, because that's a really wonderful community.
Yeah.
I just love the community that comes with all of this. I love the people that are eager to shift and change and take advantage of all the tools that are out there to experience a better quality of life for yourself, your loved ones, and other people. Who else has a thought, a question? We have a few more minutes here.
I'll share if nobody else has anything to say.
Okay, yes, and Mark, I want to hear about your trip to Egypt.
Yeah, it was pretty words to describe.
What's your share?
Well, the one thing in particular I did want to mention, on kind of on point to the energy shifting and changing out of the subconscious mind. I spent 2 weeks with Sue Morter, and that in of itself was, I would have gone and just sat in the bus and just to be able to listen to her speak for that time. But she has a practice called BEST. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. So it's, she's actually coming out with her second book, but it's basically bioenergetic healing, similar to what NCS is doing, with the split off of Dr. Joe Group, the NCS.
Yeah.
They're promoting infoceuticals, though, that go along with it to change the bioenergetic field using infoceuticals, which are basically frequency charged.
Clever name.
Drops. Yeah, it is a cool name. What I've learned is that you can do it without any kind of supplements. It's all based on, largely what you're doing as well. But you're essentially working with the energy fields that are outside of our awareness. And by energetically aligning them to a more coherent state, you're essentially helping people heal without even them knowing it. You can find those. I mean, clearly, if they have a some understanding of what it is. And I actually did a session with one of the people on the trip who was a practitioner, and found it to be quite interesting. And you can set intentions if you have something specific you want to work with, or if you're not quite sure, but you just know you're experiencing some type of disease, then they can still do the same process. But I just figured you might be interested to kind of exploring that further as well. And it's fascinating how it works.
It's interesting you're bringing this up, because once you get into real quantum physics, it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
And I had the wonderful privilege of being able to interview Joe Vitale when I discovered his work with Dr. Heelan and how he cured a whole ward of the criminally insane without ever meeting these people. I got really, really curious. And I've since gone on to read, when I interviewed him, I had read Zero Limits, but I went on to read At Zero, which is, I think, his third book on that subject. And it's truly amazing. And I can't wait to see where this goes. I know Dr. Joe and a lot of these people are, wanting to get to statistical significance so that it's happening, most of the time. I mean, Dr. Joe's looking to get his healing up over 50% in these healing groups. I mean, yes, there's tons of great stories everywhere you go. So I'm all about results, and I love diving into any new technology that is showing itself to have consistent.
Sure. Yeah, there's no technology. That's the other thing.
Yeah, it's thought. I mean, because when you get into, well, that's all Ho'oponopono is. It's just realizing that the blockage it was in you, and he just uses those 4 beautiful phrases, and with the 5th one as well. I love you, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, and then the 5th one is I loves me, and it's referring to the universal I. And just realizing that healing is completely within, and by doing the cleaning, you get the results.
I have a question on that, by the way. If it's okay, if anyone has anything, just tell me to. I'll just be quiet. But
I love your questions, Mark.
On the Ho'oponopono, which I'm fascinated by, and I've used it, and I'm conversely though, I also have been learning, and there's like the whole concept of forgiveness is a fascinating subject, because by forgiving, we're essentially acknowledging that something happened that is sort of based on separation, right? Because if you're forgiving, you're acknowledging that somebody did something or you did something that created a disease in some way, some separation, and kind of following the line of thought that we're all one, everything's oneness, and as we come together, that essentially enables all things that are based in separation to come back into harmony. I've pondered this actually, because, and I get the concept of Ho'oponopono, but it's really foundationally based on acknowledging that separation exists. I don't know if that's a clear.
There's another step to it though.
So I'm just curious. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember this author. He wrote a book on radical forgiveness. I could probably find it in 2 minutes if I went to my bookshelf here, but it's God, what is his name? And in fact, I have reached out to him. I don't know if he's still in the interview circuit or not, but he was raised in a in Japanese internment camp, and it was brutal. He saw brutality unlike what any of us could possibly imagine, and he ended up alcoholic. Obviously lots of horrible, judgmental, destructive thought forms going on in his mind. And when he got into radical forgiveness, this is going to sound mind-blowing, and it is. He forgave himself for World War II. It was one step to forgive his captors and the people that were torturing the people that he was growing up with. It was another to forgive himself from World War II. So this is where the whole lack of separation comes in, because if you're all one and everything is collapsed on one, then to forgive is to just let go of the negative lack feelings that you're holding on to.
Right. And that's actually I don't want to say, I won't use the word opposition, but it's just another perspective on the topic or concept of forgiveness. Not that there's a right or wrong. It's just, I mean, arguably that is the highest, like if any of the Hindu scriptures, the Buddhist, I mean, any of the Eastern scriptures, that is the highest form of ascension.
Yeah.
So,
well, as Alan would say, our mutual friend, my big meditation teacher of years and years and years, who I turned Mark on to. In fact, I did on my podcast, Next Level Healing, you can check him out. It's about true freedom. He found enlightenment in prison. But I once asked him when I was very troubled about a way somebody in my life was being treated by his family. I was like really upset because it was pretty major. Yeah, Gail Allen Gompers. I said, how is it that people like Nelson Mandela and Jesus can forgive people who do these horrible, horrible things to them? And without missing a beat, he said, because there is no other. And you're right, it's very, very high. Whoops, where's B? She had a question. I wanted to answer her question. She dropped off. Oh, there she is. Hi, B. What's your question?
It wasn't so much as a question, it was an observation. I've got at zero on my Christmas list because I finished Zero Limits. It was just the observation that, I hope I can put this correctly for Joe Vitale. As I understand it, it's all about the fact that we are all one. So that when we're asking forgiveness for anything that we have contributed toward whatever's going on in the world. And I mean literally whatever. But anything that comes into your field of vision, understanding, feeling, whatever it is, if it's something on the television or a friend or something happening to somebody else that you hear about, therefore you suddenly become a part of that. And because we are all one, we can ask for ourselves to be cleansed of any thoughts or reverberations that we're putting out into the world. And I had the same issue with it as you did, Mark, as I was reading it. I was like, whoa, this was leaving me in this funny place. But actually, that's the way I understand it, is precisely because we're all one. And therefore, any thought we have, anything we put out into the world, whether now or, especially because, with this thing about quantum physics, we're not just all one as we understand it in this lifetime, but our other lives are happening all at the same time. It's not about past or present, it's all. So therefore, it could be ancestral issues that we have within us. We call them ancestral, even though they're happening at the same time. But that was just how I understood it. So I hope that tip sums it.
The long form of the Ho'oponopono prayer, which I can send to you, it addresses a lot of those things, like please forgive me for anything that my ancestors might have done to anybody, or it's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. Joe just kind of brought it all together and contemporized it. Anyway, I want to thank all you guys for being here. It's just been such a joy to see some familiar faces and, some long-term friends here, and introduce you to Chris and what he's doing down there. I'm super excited to see where that goes, and I'm definitely looking forward to going down and visiting. So we'll see you either on the podcast or in the Tuesday group, or wherever our paths cross next.
Cool beans. Hey, Tara, quick question for you.
Yeah.
I met an amazing woman on our trip. She's from Nashville, actually, and she's an OBGYN, but she also is, what she's doing is taking spirituality and connecting it with her field, which, what is more spiritual than the birth of a child, right, coming into the world?
Totally. I'd love to connect with her because.
Well, I was going to ask you if I could. I'm happy to send. And she actually just published, or she's in the process of publishing a journal so that people can kind of keep track of their experiences. But I think also looking at the spiritual aspect of it. I have a new person I spoke to, this 93-year-old enlightened woman who actually remembers the spark of life inside of, when the egg and the sperm kind of literally connected, and she was there. I mean, I mean, you can't make this stuff. I mean, this is like crazy, right? So this world just keeps getting juicier and more exciting. But I'd love to send you or her your info, but I didn't want to do it without getting your.
Oh no, please, absolutely. She sounds wonderful.
And she's right there, and I think you'd love her. She's a really cool lady, and she could probably use a little bit more of this kind of stuff too.
Well, her patients certainly could.
Yeah, exactly.
Big connection.
So I figured it would be a good thing for both.
Thank
All right.
you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye, everybody.
See ya. Thank you.
Thank you.
This podcast is intended for the purpose of providing information and education. It does not provide advice and is not meant to be used for any self-diagnosis or the replacement of any kind of licensed professional. The creators and individuals appearing here do not endorse any specific tests, positions, medications, products, or procedures. The views and opinions are expressed in this podcast are of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.